Absolutely. Yeah,
It's where the NBA is going. It's where the NBA is going right
yeah,
now. You need guys that can play defense and hit threes and do other things, of course, but he checks off 2 of those boxes right
yeah.
away.
Jeff, is Jabari Smith an all-star in this league? Yes or no?
That's tough.
It is.
That's really tough. If I listen, it's tough because
What is going on? I want to welcome you from Half Court for today, Tuesday, May 10th. I am your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my partner in crime, my mob boss, the Godfather, Jeff Iafrady. Jeff,
I
how we
love
doing,
it.
my man?
I'm doing good, Sean, man. I mean, I'm excited. This is the best time of the year, especially for Pistons fans, because you're looking at a
Mm-hmm.
draft right now where we're going to break down these prospects. And today, got one of my favorite prospects, Jabari Smith. So I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are officially a week away from the NBA draft lottery, it is time for us to break down some of the top prospects in the NBA draft. Of course, Jeff and myself will be part of the Woodward Pistons NBA draft lottery stream next week on the Woodward Sports channel. Be sure to be checking that out. But also be sure, before we talk about Jabari Smith, to subscribe to the channel because we are close to 1,000 subscribers. And you got to be on the journey to get us there, daggone it. But with that, let's talk about Jabari Smith. So yesterday we talked about Paolo Banchero and a lot of things that he can bring to our team offensively. And Jabari Smith is a guy who, in my opinion, is extremely versatile. He could do a lot of different things for your team. 6'10", 220, super athletic. Jeff, there's a lot to like about Jabari Smith Jr., is there not?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we could start with the obvious. It's the shooting prowess. I mean, the guy shot over 40%. And at that size, 6'11, you talk about the versatility, what he can do on the perimeter. I think what he brings, and we talk about this a lot. I know this is thrown out there, but with Jabari, it's true. He's a Troy Weaver guy. Like,
Yep.
he reminds me of Jeremy Grant, but Jeremy was obviously 27. When he came to the Pistons, he had that breakout season. What Jeremy Grant's game, it kind of reminds me of Jabari Smith coming into the league right away. Like, he has all that same skill set. He can shoot the ball. I think he has the best looking jump shot of all these prospects. So that'll translate. His ability to shoot the ball. And I think that's what excites me the most, because if we look at Cade and, people compare him to Luka Doncic, these guys are going to strive with shooters, especially around the perimeter. You give him the ball and he can make magic happen. So with Jabari, not only is he a great shooter, he can create his own shot. He can go out and get his own shot. So I think with Jabari, I mean, listen, the pick and pop, the things you can do with Jabari, I think that excites me the most. And even the negatives he has, I mean, yes, you'd like him to be, at least for his size, he's got to work on finishing. And that's something we talked about a lot with Paulo Banchero.
Yeah.
He already has those tools. But Jabari, I feel like in a way, all these guys can work on those things. The thing that stands out to me the most about Jabari, that's shooting, man. And it can translate in the ability to go get his own shot. He reminds me, like I said, a little bit of Jeremy Grant, but more polished, coming out. And his upside, man, we talk about lowest, the floor and the ceiling. Worst case scenario, you're getting a guy in Jabari Smith who's going to have a good, 15-year career.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to be excited about him.
Yeah, you can't miss with Jabari Smith because, like you said, for a guy to be that athletic, to be that versatile, but also to shoot as well as he can, shooting translates at every level. And a guy that could shoot 42% at his size, if we can get that volume up and keep that efficiency, that's something that's going to pay in dividends for the Detroit Pistons. And also, I think one thing that you can't question about Jabari Smith that we talked about a little bit with Paulo yesterday, which, by the way, go check out that video, is Jabari Smith's motor. You never question if he's engaged and active and in a part of the game. Now, what I can say about Jabari Smith, and you and I talked about this quite a bit around this game as well. I don't like to take anything away from March Madness games. However, to say that Jabari Smith Jr. laid up a stinker against Miami is an understatement. And in addition, my thing that I worry about with him is, can he create his own shot if need be? Because I understand that, Cade is ultimately going to be the person that's going to be running the offense. And what I like about Chet and what I like about Paulo as far as their offensive game goes, because again, with Jabari, I don't question the defense. That's like probably the area I feel the most comfortable. Right. But can he create his own shot? And can, sometimes Robin needs to save the day too.
Right.
And so my question with Jabari is, on this level, what can you do with the ball in your hands? Because when the lights got the brightest, he really wasn't creating much offense. He was just spot up shooting, and he wasn't really cutting to the rim. He wasn't using his body to get to the basket. Like there was just, and I'm not sure if that's a common theme in his game, but it was something that was concerning as far as like, seeing him in a
Right.
significant sample size.
And I get that. I mean, the part of me doesn't want to have recency bias because you gotta think too before March Madness. Like Jabari Smith, really, if you look at that Auburn team, he's the man. And I think a
Right.
lot of that in his role, like you said, you mentioned that he doesn't have the you question his motor. You don't question his motor because he had so much on his plate all season. Like this guy was the best player on the best team for a while during the whole entirety of the year. So with Jabari, I think what happened in that Miami game, and you could talk about it. Yes, he had a dud. But if you look at
Mhm.
the past 9 games, he had at least 20 points in 6 of them. So he was consistent. I mean, he had a dud in that game, but I don't want to get wrapped up too much in the recency bias. I think Paulo,
Right.
Banchero, and Chet, they're playing with much better players around them. So obviously that's going to serve them better. But with Jabari, I
Right.
think what intrigues me the most is, and again, it's like the guy, and you talk about his ability to create his own shot. It's about choosing good shots, and
For
that's kind
sure.
of his thing. Like the guy, he feels like he can make any shot on the floor, and sometimes that does lead to low efficiency, which he shot low 40s this year in terms of field goal percentage. So he is a pure jump shooter. You like him to use his size more. Like you're 6'11", like you said, you're that versatile. I mean, I don't see why. I mean, Paulo's a similar height. He just has a different game. So, he
Right.
can learn those things. Like you said, though, it's what are you when your shot's not falling? And we know he's a great defender. But other
Yeah.
than that, like you mentioned up Paulo's passing ability and Chet can do multiple things. So it's really about expanding Jabari's game. And I think he can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, one comparison I've heard for Jabari Smith that I've really liked and is really interesting is Rashard Lewis back in the day. And people hear that and they're like, "Oh, that's insult." But like Rashard Lewis in the modern NBA,
Yeah.
every team would want him. He would be one of the more coveted players. That's the kind of guy that results to winning basketball. I see Jabari Smith as like being the potential to kind of be like, that like one of those like solid, you know, just forwards that you would need on a championship team. Again,
Right.
like he very much to me fits that mold of like what Evan Mobley was. I mean, obviously not quite the same size. I would say maybe Evan Mobley has better ball handling and more guard like skills in that sense. But
Right.
I think the thing with Jabari is that if you are Detroit and this is the guy that Troy Weaver, like, we've heard multiple reports now that this is the guy that he's interested in, right? When there's smoke, there's fire. And when you watch his game, it's hard not to see why Troy Weaver would want him so badly. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think a lot of fans when they hear Jabari, and you have your Paulo fans, you have your Jabari fans, your Chet fans, a lot of this will be much more clear when the lottery comes. And we'll find out
Right.
where we're picking. Because let's say we pick at 3. Paulo and Chet go 1 and 2, let's just
Mhm.
say, and then you have Jabari at 3. I'm just hypothetically. Then people will begin to be like, all right, this guy can work here. Now, if
Right.
you have the number 1 pick, my God, it's going to be interesting, Sean, because then you have different arguments. Maybe are you drafting for upside? Are you looking at Paulo? Like then it becomes
Mhm.
way more interesting. But you can't argue. I mean, the guy's the best shooter out of all these people. So at worst case scenario, you're getting a guy who can hit threes, who can, especially in all types of ways, pull up, transition threes. He can do it all. He's versatile. He can fill that role that if you trade Jeremy Grant, you get another lottery pick. He can squeeze right into that 4 role and just play. And you can use him in small ball if he can get better in his interior defense. So I just see so much potential with him. Like, the jump shot's there. That's not a question. It's just,
Right.
like you said, being able to affect the game when your shot's not falling. I think that's probably the biggest thing for Jabari, because I know Paulo and Chet, they bring a lot of different things. So
Mhm.
that's something that Jabari can expand on. But I just think, man, that shooting prowess just excites the hell out of me. Like, it really
Yeah.
does. Him next to Cade, like, what they can do in a pick and roll, it's just, it would be exciting. Any of
It's
these
hard.
guys, Chet,
Yeah.
Paulo, any of these guys.
It's just hard not to be excited about. And the thing is, ultimately, Detroit would be lucky to add any of these guys. But I
Right.
think what
Absolutely.
what makes what makes Jabari Smith arguably the number one player on the Pistons board is because I think he might be the Cade Cunningham of these prospects in the sense that it's the all around game that he has. It's the all around offensive ability, the defensive
Right.
ability. I think there's less holes in the game of Jabari Smith coming into the pros. The motor's not a question. It's just a guy that he's going to come in day one and he's going to affect winning in some way. And
Absolutely.
as he goes over time, I can see Jabari Smith Jr. by year 3 having a very different type of game than he does now, even if he just
And
keeps working and developing. In Detroit would be a great fit for him. It really would.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, any of these guys, if you're going to Detroit, you're playing with a guy, number one, a guy who can create offense for others. And that's anybody's excited. I bet Chet, Paulo,
Mhm.
and even Jabari looking at Detroit, it's like, listen, if I could play with Cade, you're going to get that much better. And if you look at Jabari and you want to look at his negatives, okay, his playmaking ability, decision making at times, like I get all of that. But guys, that can be coached. Like you can coach Jabari Smith to make better decisions. What you cannot coach is the talent, like you said, versatility and that shooting ability. Like you can
Right.
coach shooting, but you either have it or you really don't. He
Right.
has it. He has obviously the most attractive jump shot he can hit. You know, he's
Woo!
pulling up from damn near half court in some of these games. So
Yeah.
it's exciting. It really is. I don't know how you can't. I mean, if you not even just Detroit Pistons fans, it's the Rockets, all these fan bases, they can't wait to get their hands on a guy like Jabari. It's exciting.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
It's where the NBA is going. It's where the NBA is going right
Yeah.
now. You need guys that can play defense and hit threes and do other things, of course, but he checks off two of those boxes right away.
Yeah. Jeff, is Jabari Smith an all-star in this league? Yes or no?
That's tough.
It is.
That's really tough. If I listen, it's tough because
If
number
you're
one,
a
you gotta be
betting
winning.
man,
You got to be winning. So, and of course, if he comes to Detroit, I'm expecting to win.
Mhm.
I'm going to say yes. Screw it. Now, what does my heart tell me, Sean? My heart
Uh-huh.
tells me that Paulo Banchero will be an all-star. But
Okay, well,
Jabari,
of course, Apollo,
yes,
like, all these guys can
he's
be
different.
all-stars. Yeah.
But I'm talking about his game, like going out. Like I can see Paulo just being a pure, just give me the ball. I'm gonna go get a bucket. Like
Oh, yeah.
Jabari is gonna benefit. That's why I'm excited because we have Cade. If you didn't have Cade,
Right.
I'd be like, all right, maybe you can, get a guy that can create his own. Like Jabari can work on those things, but my God, just the pairing with Cade, man, like.
Yeah.
It's just a fit. Like you said, like you compare him to Rashard Lewis. People want like pick a Hall of Famer in the draft. Just pick the best pick.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything sexy, especially if you land at 3 and Jabari falls into your hands. But to ask me who I'd take and who would be an all-star, that's a tough. That's a question that people need to comment down below. That's a tough one, man.
And
That
that's
really
a great thought. What do you think? Let us know in the comment section down below. Do you think Jabari Smith Jr. can be an all-star in this league? Let us know. Obviously, a lot to like about his game. Definitely someone that the Pistons are very interested in, and I'm extremely excited for what's going to happen, especially with how much we're going to learn over the next course of the week with the NBA lottery stream, which you better tune in on Woodward Sports for
Absolutely.
Woodward Pistons and ourselves. We are going to be there hosting and being there for the entire dang thing alongside with our guy Kool-Aid. Also, one more time, be sure to hit that subscribe button as we are on the road to 1,000 subs, baby. I wanted to throw you off, Jeff. That's what it was. But with that,
I
want to thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe.